The Farmer and the Three Sons. Once upon a time, in a peaceful town surrounded by hills and rivers, there lived a poor farmer named Oliver who had 3 sons. His eldest son, Ralph, was strong and proud, often boasting about his abilities. His middle son, Jack, was quick-witted and clever, always thinking he could outsmart others. The youngest son, Tom, was gentle and kind-hearted, but his brothers often mocked him for being quiet and thoughtful. The family lived in a simple cottage, and though they worked hard, times were tough. A severe drought had struck the land, and crops were failing. Food was becoming scarce, and Oliver was deeply worried about how to provide for his sons. One evening, as the sun set and the family shared their meager dinner, Oliver called his sons together. "My boys," he said, "the forest is filled with valuable timber. One of you must go there each day to chop wood. We can sell the wood in the market and buy enough food to survive." Ralph, the eldest, stood up confidently. "I'll go first," he said with pride. "I'm the strongest, and I'll bring back enough wood to fill the house." Pleased with Ralph's enthusiasm, Oliver's wife packed him a large basket of fresh bread, cheese, and cider to keep him nourished. Ralph set off the next morning, whistling as he went. The path through the forest was long, and as Ralph reached the clearing, he encountered an elderly woman sitting by the roadside. She was frail and wore tattered clothes, her eyes weary from the harshness of life. She called out to Ralph, "Good day, young man. I am hungry and thirsty. Could you spare me some of your food?" Ralph, thinking only of himself, scoffed. "Why would I waste my food on you? I need it for my work. Find your own meal." With that, he turned his back on the old woman and marched into the woods. When Ralph reached a large oak tree, he began chopping. But before long, his axe slipped, and the blade struck his leg. He cried out in pain and limped home without a single piece of wood. His father looked at him with disappointment, but said nothing. The next day, Jack, the clever middle son, decided to try his luck. "I'm smarter than Ralph," he declared. "I'll bring back plenty of wood and show you how it's done." His mother packed him a basket of bread, cheese, and cider, and Jack set off with confidence. As he walked along the same path, he too encountered the elderly woman sitting by the roadside. "Good day, young man," she said. "I am hungry and thirsty. Could you share some of your food with me?" Jack, thinking himself clever, replied, "If I give you my food, I'll have none for myself. You should find your own meal." And just like Ralph, Jack continued on his way without helping the old woman. When Jack reached the forest, he began chopping down a tree. But just as he swung his axe, it struck a rock and shattered the blade. Jack was forced to return home empty-handed, much to his father's growing frustration. On the 3rd day, Tom, the youngest son, stepped forward. "Father," he said softly, "let me go to the forest and try. I may not be as strong as Ralph or as clever as Jack, but I will do my best." His brothers laughed. "You, Tom? You won't last a day out there," Jack sneered. But Tom insisted, and with little else to try, his father allowed him to go. His mother, not expecting much, packed him only a small piece of bread and a bottle of water for his journey. Tom set off early the next morning, walking quietly through the forest path. As he reached the clearing, he saw the elderly woman sitting by the roadside, just as his brothers had before. "Good day, young man," she said in a tired voice. "I am hungry and thirsty. Could you share some of your food with me?" Tom looked down at the small amount of food he had, and though it wasn't much, he smiled kindly. "I don't have much," he said, "but I'll be happy to share what I have with you." He handed her half of his bread and offered her water. The old woman smiled warmly, her eyes gleaming with gratitude. "Thank you for your kindness," she said softly. "Few would share when they have so little. Because you've been generous, I will offer you something in return. Go to the center of the forest and find the tallest tree. Chop it down, and beneath its roots, you will find something that will change your life." Tom was surprised by her words, but he thanked her and made his way deeper into the forest. He soon found the tallest tree in the woods, its branches towering above him. With steady hands, he began chopping, and after much hard work, the tree finally fell. At its roots, Tom discovered an old, hidden chest. When he opened it, his eyes widened in amazement. It was filled with gold coins and precious jewels. "This must be what the woman spoke of," Tom whispered, awestruck by the treasure. He gathered the chest and made his way back home, eager to show his family what he had found. When Tom returned to the cottage with the chest, his family could hardly believe their eyes. His brothers stared in shock, and his father, who had always underestimated Tom, was speechless. "Tom, my son," Oliver said, embracing him, "you have saved us." Tom smiled humbly, not feeling boastful or proud. He used the treasure to help his family and the village, buying food and clothing for those in need. His brothers, once proud and arrogant, learned an important lesson from Tom about kindness and generosity. Word of Tom's discovery spread throughout the kingdom, and soon, the king himself heard of the young man's good fortune. The king's daughter, Princess Lila, was known for her serious demeanor. No one had ever seen her smile. The king had promised that anyone who could make her laugh would win her hand in marriage. Many noblemen and knights had tried to amuse the princess, but all had failed. When Tom heard of the king's challenge, he thought of the elderly woman's wisdom and decided to visit the palace. Dressed in simple clothes, Tom arrived at the royal court. The noblemen and courtiers were puzzled by his humble appearance, but Tom did not try to impress them with grand gestures or boastful words. Instead, he simply shared the story of his journey, how he had helped the old woman, discovered the treasure, and used it to help others. As he spoke, Tom's sincerity and humility touched the hearts of everyone in the court. Princess Lila, who had remained stoic throughout the many attempts to make her laugh, suddenly found herself smiling. Tom's simple kindness and modesty were unlike anything she had seen before, and she could not help but laugh, a sound that echoed joyfully through the palace. True to his word, the king gave Tom his daughter's hand in marriage. But Tom was not interested in wealth or power. Instead, he continued to live humbly, using his newfound position to help the people of his village. And as for the elderly woman, no one ever saw her again. But Tom knew that her wisdom and kindness had changed his life forever.
Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, and share our channel Magic Mingle with your friends to enjoy more magical stories.